Good morning. Welcome to Harris Hall and the Tuesday, October 17th version of the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. I will convene the meeting. Good morning, Mr. Mokrahysky.
Good morning.
Do we have any adjustments to the agenda this morning?
No, none from staff.
And any from the board? I'm seeing none, and I've seen no emergency business, Mr. Mokrahysky.
Correct.
Very good. Then let's move directly into employee recognition. I'll just mention for the folks who are here for public comment, we will engage in employee recognition so that the employees we recognize and can get back to the great job they do. So, Mr. Mokrahysky.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Good morning. We're really pleased. Mike, I'll invite Mike Finch, our Chief Information Officer, up here, and we have a number of folks from Technology Services in the audience today, and we're recognizing this team from Technology Services for really its incredible work generally, and the recognition that we recently received from the Center for Digital Government and the National Association of Counties. Lane County was ranked in the top 10 counties nationally as part of the highly respected Digital Counties survey that is conducted by the Center for Digital Government and the National Association of Counties. This prestigious recognition highlights Lane County's commitment to leveraging technology and innovation to enhance public service delivery. The CDC and NACO Digital County Survey evaluates counties across the country, recognizing those that demonstrate excellence in the strategic use of technology to address local challenges, increase government efficiency, and enhance citizen engagement. Lane County was recognized for putting a focus on data, including launching a database and system to help Technology Services Department track each county department's device inventory to make it more efficient for how those devices are functioning and for any needed updates and upgrades and replacement. Lane County also turned an eye to cybersecurity and resiliency and established a cybersecurity and compliance division. We know that this is cybersecurity continues to be a significant issue for large organizations, particularly public sector organizations throughout the country. We had a recent incident in recent weeks with a partner agency, public agency locally, that received an attack, and our systems continue to function really well, even though we have some integration with that agency. So great work happening on all of those fronts. This survey was developed in partnership by NACO and conducted by CDG to identify the best technology practices among counties in the United States. So again, we want to recognize our incredible Technology Services leadership and team for their work. And these awards, you know, they feel good, but really what's nice about it is to know that we're implementing the best practices nationally, that we're doing the things that we should be doing, and we stack up against the leaders in the country that are doing this work. So I want to recognize, I'll just ask folks if you'd like to stand or raise your hand so folks can see you. Jill, this is our team from Technology Services that was instrumental in helping us to get this recognition. Jill Allen, Mike Finch, of course, right next to me, Nina Fox, Mike Harmon, Maurice Machado, Kim Morgan, Cheryl Reedy. Cheryl's out. Okay, Tina Saltiak, Marina Sosa, and Kay Youngblood. Did I miss anyone, Mike? Okay, great. So, Mike, you want to add anything?
I would just like to say thank you. Thank you, honestly, to the board and to Lane County leadership. The work we do in Technology Services, we're an internal service provider, really. It's at the request of you. It's what you believe in and invest in and allow us to do the work. And so it's, you know, this award is a reflection of this county's values and our investments in believing data, analytics, cybersecurity. Those are the things that are important to our county and to making, having the best information, making great decisions, and leveraging technology to move faster and to meet the needs of our community. So thank you. And I would like to call out one other individual who helped complete this survey and was a tremendous part of this, and his name is Scott Noble. His legacy and his work lives on in the work we do, and so I also would like to call attention to his contributions in this work. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, and happy to answer any questions, but we just wanted to bring this team forward and recognize the great work that happens so much behind the scenes. And so we try to do these public recognitions to highlight the incredible work of our staff that oftentimes can go unnoticed by the public and the rest of our organization.
Thank you, Ms. Mulcahy and Mr. Finch. And let's take a moment to recall and reflect on the tremendous legacy of Scott Noble. To the board, any questions or comments? Commissioner Buck.
No questions, but just congratulations. I know you all work hard each and every day, and I don't necessarily get to see you all that often because we pass in different hallways, but it is nice to see you here, and it's really nice to see you all recognized for the work that you do. Thank you very much for choosing Lane County to work for.
Commissioner Senega.
Yes, like to hearken what Commissioner Buck said, but a lot of times you guys only hear from us when we're having problems. But we do appreciate what you guys do. Thanks a lot.
Commissioner Lovell.
Yeah, thank you again. Cybersecurity is a huge issue anymore. I mean, you guys, I still am getting calls and emails from Curry County and how you rescued their data breach and got them all up. So you guys aren't just working for Lane County, you're working for the entire good of any government that has problems. And I think that's an organization that deserves more touting than just what we get from you, but you share what you give to us to everyone else. And I think that's admirable. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chair Trigger.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. And now I get to see faces. There's some people I only get emails from. So I've said this before, I'll say it again. As Commissioner Senega said, you usually hear from us when we have a problem. We often only hear from you when there's a problem. So it's great to be here and celebrate good work and put faces to the names, because your work is so invisible but so important. It's sort of like the footings of the foundation of a house that are sort of underground, sort of literally here in this building, right? And we don't see them, but without them, the whole house would crumble. So thank you so much for your work and for taking the time to come and spend a few minutes letting us heap our appreciation onto you this morning. Thanks.
Thanks, Vice Chair. And I'll just repeat what others have said. You know, we love the work you do, especially when we don't recognize that you're doing it. That's the best time. And Commissioner Lovell mentioned that your work goes far beyond our county lines. There are how many counties now that we're working with? You don't know, okay. Other counties beyond, all of them. 36, 35 of the counties. But the work is leading edge and really always on top of things. So thank you very much for everything you do. And the phone calls, what is it, 6, 7, 8, 9? Yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You'll be fine.
Right on. Remember that number and you'll be okay every day.
Did you just say a chorus to a song, 6, 7, 8, 9, everything will be fine? Oh my gosh, we'll be singing that all day now.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Appreciate your time and recognition this morning.
Thank you.
Photo up.
Thank you.
Photo up.
All right, we'll move down our agenda. The next item on today's agenda is public comments. I'll be calling those of you all signed up in Harris Hall first. We'll also have some people who are signed up online. When I call your name, please step to the mic. You'll have 3 minutes, to speak. We got a big crowd today, so you have 3 seconds. No, 3 minutes to speak, and please keep an eye on the clock on the wall to my left, which will be directly in front of you, and it'll tick down to 0, and at 0, we'll ask you to yield for the next speaker. The first person we have in Harris Hall to speak today is David Basaraba. David, excuse me. And it's not David, it's Daniel. I apologize. I put my glasses on too late.
Hi, Daniel Basaraba again. I'm coming to ask you again to review my case on 7-11 in this meeting room. I asked that you guys would request to review my land management decision review, and Chair Farr, you had made statements moving towards that and asked staff to start moving in that direction. Keir Miller was sort of tipped off to that by somebody, and he was waiting on the phone to rebut that request. He made some statements about the accuracy and the decisions that are upheld under review. His statements were false. And those statements were the basis for you to retract your request to review my case. I have 8 cases here that show his statements were false, that they don't have a good track record of having their decisions upheld. And so I'm asking you to renew your request to review my case. I'm asking for the board to vote to hear my case. The work has already been done. The attorneys, everybody's already put this record together. It would just be a request for you folks to hear my case and see what you think of it. See if you think that staff is doing a good job of representing what you, who are representing us, are wanting done in Lane County. I don't think that's the case. There's a clear agenda that's going on within land management, and it needs you guys to step in to hold them accountable. For Keir Miller to come on here on public record and make the statements he made in just 2 emails from 2 attorneys, there's 8 cases that contradict what he said here. And that's a pretty strong basis for you guys to go back and say, let's look at this and let's review this case. I'm coming here and I'm telling you guys that staff and the hearings official are injecting verbiage and law that doesn't exist in state law. They're contradicting state law and Lane code to rule against my case. I'm asking you guys to hear that. That's not a crazy request. That's why you guys were elected, so that when I have something I need to have redressed, I can come to somebody and say, please look at this case. You know, I don't know what else to say to you guys, but I'm asking that one of you make the motion to review the case, and I'm asking for all of you to vote to hear it. It hasn't been done a long time. It was done for a long time before that. You could hear how staff, how county council doesn't want that to happen for a reason. They don't want you guys to have the control over these decisions. They like no oversight. I'm asking you guys to step back in, represent all of us by reviewing these cases occasionally. I'm requesting you review mine because I'm involved in it and I feel like it's a really strong case, and it's very clear that staff and the hearings official had to use made up language and made up legal tests that don't exist in state or Lane County land law to make their decision. You're who I have to come to for those grievances, and so I'm asking one of you to please take a look at this. Please make the motion to review, and then my time up.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Basrab.
I'm going to leave this for the record. These are the cases
Weather is perfect.
that contradict Mr. Miller's statements. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next is Stephanie Cameron, who will be followed by Hunter Nelms.
Hello, board, I'm back. I just want to thank you for having me last week. I'm sorry that I left before I was addressed, but I came back. I happened to catch some things that were mentioned, and so one of the reasons I'm here is to make the board aware of the work that Restored Connections is doing. I'd also like to offer an open invitation for any board member to come down to the center, see the work that we're doing, see the impact that we are having on Lane County citizens. Additionally, we have a pretty exciting event happening this Friday. We are partnering with the Public Defender's Office to put on a criminal set-aside clinic. A lot of people who have criminal history really struggle with employment and housing opportunities. And so we are helping Lane County citizens with the process of setting their criminal record aside. And so that'll be happening this Friday at 2 p.m. at the Public Defender's Office. I also wanted to mention that in addition to the lived experience that peer mentors have, they do have additional training, and some of our employees have other types of formal education. OHA has recognized Restored Connections peer training as one that meets the requirements, and so we're pretty grateful that this community has seen the value in our services and has decided to use Restored Connections peer mentorship training to train their staff and other community members. One of the reasons that I'm here is to really talk about the work we're doing outside of our already funded programs. So right now, through our current funding stream, we are provided funding for peer mentorship and supported employment. But the work that we're doing in the housing sector and the houseless population is pretty significant. We're understaffed and we're underfunded for those services that we're providing. I know that there was a lot of funding that came into our community around houselessness, and what my staff and myself have experienced is a lot of barriers to accessing those fundings. So from what I understand, if those funds are not spent in Lane County by December 31st or shortly thereafter, a lot of those fundings have to go back to the funders that had assigned it to our community. What I'm hoping to find is a solution so that when we're looking at the houseless crisis that our community is experiencing, we can focus on a population of individuals who are getting into what we call recovery housing. We're making a lot of headway in our houseless population by securing beds in those housing structures and leveraging funding within our community partners such as Trillium and Pacific Source to make sure that those individuals stay in those housing structures. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cameron. Hunter Nelms will be followed by Rich Locke.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'll keep this short and sweet because I have to get back to the office. Good morning. My name is Hunter Nelms, and I am a founding board member and the administrative peer supervisor at the Restored Connections Peer Center. Our agency is funded by Measure 110 for supported employment and peer mentorship. However, we are not funded for housing support. We do find ways to leverage funding, like my executive director spoke about before, with CCOs. We work with existing housing programs, and our own peer mentors are constantly in search of ways to help individuals struggling to find housing. I myself am a certified recovery mentor, which is peer support 2, so it's a supervisory capacity. I'm also a certified alcohol and drug counselor. All of my mentors are certified recovery mentors as well. We have at this point gotten hundreds of previously unhoused individuals into recovery housing, and once they are stabilized, then we can begin helping them find employment and other supports to become healthy and productive members of our community. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nelms. Rich Locke will be followed by Marion Trope.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Rich Locke. I'm a Ward 8 business owner and founder of the Eugene Business Alliance, which represents over 200 businesses in the city of Eugene. To follow up what I'm pleased to hear other people here talking about homelessness, because I want to talk about the people that aren't getting shelter. I believe that we have a great system and it is providing housing, but it is a referral system. We truly do not have a place where these people can go. Therefore, they're outside of our businesses. They're in our residences. By the way, all of these people end up in our lowest economic area income bracket neighborhoods and with the most racially diverse bunch of people in Eugene. We're always talking about how important it is for our equity. There is no equity in it, other than the fact that if there's a problem, it's going to go to those neighborhoods. And you folks are the ones that are taking care of that and overseeing it. I would like to propose that we have some true low barrier sites that are not involved in the referral system where these people can go. I talk to people all over Eugene on a weekly basis that are in the houseless. They're laying in the bottom of Amazon Canal. They're all over everywhere, drug addicted, mentally ill, and there is no place to go. There is no place for our services to congregate around these people and help them. We only help the ones that y'all and the managed services want to help. I suggest 3 to 4 different spots throughout Lane County to where we can channel these people to where they can have a safe spot to sleep at night instead of laying on the curb under a tarp or in my backyard or somebody else's backyard. I think what Lane County needs to do is take control of what they're responsible for, and that's the health, which happens to be mental also, and shelter for these people. Shelter does not include a $250,000 apartment for them to live in. It is a spot where they can go and be safe. This has to be secured by whoever's running it, and I would hope it would be Lane County. Please, find places for these people so we don't have to bear the brunt of all of the theft, all of the crime, and especially the litter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. Your business is in fact in my Bethel neighborhood. Marion Trope, followed by Andrew Frost.
You guys know me as Leela, and I actually brought notes up here. Okay, I was told by some people, why are you bringing it to the Lane County Commissioners? What can they do? Coos, Curry, you know, Lincoln, et cetera. But this is one of those things that eventually, I don't want to say anything negative, so if you catch me saying anything negative, slap the microphone. But Oregon is unique. We have a unique coastline. We have unique industries. There is a group here that is being represented. ONRI has good presence on Facebook. Oregon Natural Resources and Industries. The farmers are being hosed because of the extra cost for manure, can't grow crops, water. The fishermen are going to have to stay a reasonable amount away from these buoys because they have anchors and wires. We already know that on the East Coast, it took an independent firm, group of people, to finally put 2 and 2 together that that's what was killing the whales. Question is, they don't know why. Were they going deaf? Could they not get resonance back when they put out a call to their other whale pod members? So did they get totally disoriented because they couldn't get feedback? I don't know. I'm not a whale yet. But that's a huge issue. We don't want to repeat what's happening in the New England states and on the East Coast, in Oregon, please. The environmentalists always talk about how important every crustacean, every blob, and every whale is, but they don't seem to care. If these windmills go in to suit their green agenda, which is a green religion, they don't care. They'll be quiet as long as the money comes in. Now it goes to the money part. These blades are as long, each one, as a football field. These turbines are huge. I did a lot of reading last night. I found out that by the time you build up the bottom structure, in Japan and other places, you get corrosion and mold. Now, what kind of toxins are they going to be leaching into the water? If a blade breaks, it usually breaks on the leading edge. That requires replacement. I read all about the resins, the glues, the PCBs, the different vinyl chlorides that are in those blades. Right now, these blades will be so big, they can't bury them. Oh, darn it. I just want to say one last thing. I could not ascertain from everything I read last night till 2:30 in the morning where these things are going to be manufactured.
Thank you, Ms. Trope.
And if they're manufactured in China, we don't get Oregon jobs, do we?
Thank you. I'll ask speakers to please keep an eye on the clock. We have a lot of speakers behind you. Next is Andrew Frost, will be followed by Julie Bivens.
So I got to scrub my mind. I'm up here. I've spent 4 years. 4 years ago, an illegal build started next door to me. I reported it to the planning department. Now, I'm in Glenwood. So you said, oh, it's the city of Springfield that has to deal with it. Well, I'll tell you what, to this day, the house is still there. The wiring was done in the 1950s. It was sold as brand new, remodeled in the year 2020. In order to hide the fact that the fuse box was illegal, the new purchaser, who had threatened to sue me when I told them I would provide them with the information on the illegal build, very suspicious, that person then sued me for an extra 3 foot of land. The house encroached on my land. by 3 foot already. They ended up getting the 3 foot of my land due to perjury in an arbitration, which, by the way, is not recorded, like many lower court facilities in this county. So I've lost part of my home and the ability to provide a house, to provide housing for other people on the remaining plot. All because the county said that Springfield is meant to be dealing with it. Well, the word meant to be is kind of important. If you give someone the job to babysit your children, you kind of have to look after that babysitter as well, make sure they're doing the job. Now, my mum is in a hospital for the last 15 weeks. She suffered a heart situation the night of the arbitration, an arbitration I felt I had to settle simply because I was threatened at lunchtime by the arbitrator with having to pay the legal fees for people that had accused me of ripping down a fence and then gone into court on the day, or the arbitration on the day, and said, oh, my bad, there never was a fence. And got the person who had previously testified to a court under oath that there was a fence to say there never was a fence. My bad, I was in a rush when I made that statement. That statement put my mother in a hospital. It has stolen my land. And your county planning department have gone along at every step, colluding essentially with the builders, saying they can have an exemption to being too close to the property line and stuff. Thank you for, I did,
Thank you,
by the way,
Mr.
come
Frost.
before and mention this.
Julie Bivens will be followed by Lester, perhaps Bivens. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here to talk about wind turbines on our Oregon coast in our ocean, and the impacts that those would have on wildlife is one of my topics. Bird strike is already a huge problem with wind turbines on land. It would also be the same way when it's in the ocean, along with having impacts on tons of other wildlife, including fisheries, whales, all the way down to clams, which have been proven to be significantly affected. So there's a huge impact to wildlife. There is also a huge impact to humans, and including tourism. There are people who surf our beaches, sail, kite sailing, diving, camping. Nobody's going to want to go and camp overlooking wind turbines. There's also a huge problem with oil leakage from wind turbines on land. How you deal with that in the ocean, I don't know. So disposal has already been mentioned. There's no way to dispose of those things. The cost to taxpayers, I want to know the cost. I see that it's projected to be around $28 billion. How's that going to impact me? People I know, government officials like to say, oh, there are government incentives. Guess where those incentives come from? Right out of my pocket into the government's. And I'm sick and tired of that. So, we've already had Whiskey Run down at Bandon, or nearby Bandon, which was an epic failure, and that farm had to be dismantled after only 10 years. So these things have a life expectancy, supposedly, of around 20 years, and they don't pay for themselves. They also are known, when they're in the ocean, to kind of create their own climate and to alter currents. The cost of wind energy is not competitive, and especially not here, because we have some of the lowest rates in the country. So unless you want to dismantle our dams and do away with hydroelectric, which obviously is in the works, and that needs to stop. It's the cleanest, it's the most efficient. We need to keep that. Let's see, where am I? Did I cover all my little points? So I know that you all up here probably have the best of intentions. However, we know that our government is corrupt. We know we've had corrupt governors and secretaries of state, and so I don't trust that there's not some money in this $28 billion. We already know our Secretary of State has taken money from the cartels, so I would not be surprised that all your good intentions get you the boot of government on your throat. And I just want to state right now, stiffen up your spines, because if you can't handle that, you need to get out.
Thank you, Ms. Bivens. Next is Lester, could be Lester Bivens, Lester B. Thank you. Then the last person signed up in Harris Hall is Mark Cosby. Mark?
Commissioner Farr and commissioners, you don't see me a lot around Lane County these days since I sued the city of Eugene for violating my First Amendment rights. But for standing up for the homeless people down here when they shut down the public restrooms, concrete buildings for 5 months, or for 5 years. The county commissioners paid $20,000 to clean up the flower beds after these guys. Federal department, or the federal building had $40,000 that they spent on the stupid cleaning up diapers, basically, right? And I look at my government, and I don't want to be in contempt of this board, but I'm getting very irritated. I encourage everybody to take a drive up Big Fall Creek Reservoir, go up above it, go into the bedrock burn, and analyze what you see there in 32,000 acres of devastated valley. The water temperature is 74 degrees, was tested at 74 degrees going into the river, or into the lake this year. The salmon that we drain the reservoirs for so they can swim to the ocean because they ain't smart enough to go downstream, they can't live in this society. So I've talked to ODF. We just killed a bunch of kokanee because we flushed out Green Peter, got below 150 feet, and the kokanee flushed out, killed thousands of them. That was a court order from a judge. He had to do that. And I'm going, where's the sense in government? And when I see Lane County now had a slave camp down at Dorena Reservoir, and I go, what is wrong with our government? Our legislature won't fund our sheriff. They need to do a continuation to support the sheriff to eradicate these drug cartel camps. And then you find out the Secretary of State's dirty. And so I have a lot of contempt. It's not directed at you guys. And then this windmill thing comes up, the offshore turbines. And so I went down to Coos Bay to learn what I can learn about it, and then I started reading about it. I asked a marine fish biologist, I said, so what evidence is there, or what have you seen of the whales landing on the beach? Because you always hear these rumors. I want to know the truth. And he says, I don't know. Well, the truth is it is documented. I've read it. So I would encourage Lane County commissioners to do a proclamation and stand against these wind turbines for numerous reasons.
Thank you, Mr. Cosby.
Thank you.
Mark Cosby was the last person signed up in Harris Hall. Ms. Jones, do we have anyone signed up for public testimony online?
If you would like to give public comment for the Board of County Commissioners meeting today, please raise your virtual hand. I see Rob Taylor.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. Will you conduct the queue, please?
Yes. Rob, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I did.
Would you like to be on camera?
No, thank you.
Okay, then go ahead and begin your public comment.
My name is Rob Taylor, and I'm speaking to you today from Bandon, Oregon. It's one of the most beautiful places I have lived in my life, and I've lived all over this country. And the reason I'm coming to your county commissioners today is to ask that you pass a proclamation along with the proclamation that has been passed by several other counties and is being considered by even more counties on the coast of Oregon, opposing the wind farm areas that the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management is considering leasing to private corporations right off our coast. I mean, what they're going to do is they're going to take 220,000 acres of mass of water, and they're going to close it off to fishing so they can put up over 220 some odd windmills. These windmills are going to be about 2,000 feet deep, or 2,000 feet in size, 1,000 feet above water, 1,000 feet below water. They're floating windmills. This is untested technology, and it's going to be a web of cables and electrical wiring from 18 miles offshore coming onto shore that is going to interfere with our fishing industry. This year, because I live in Bandon and we are a tourist destination for people who live in York County, I talked to a lot of people in York County who didn't even realize that this project was happening, that this was being created right off our coast, and that it was going to destroy not only the aesthetics of the area, the beauty of the area, but it's going to interfere with the environment from the plankton all the way up to the mighty whale. And we've got whale watchers that come here just specifically up to our coast of Bandon to watch the whales as they go from Mexico all the way up to Alaska. This may interrupt those species, the crab fishing, the salmon fishing. Like I said, we don't even know what these turbines are going to do to many of our different species here. So anyone who truly loves the environment needs to step up and make a proclamation stopping this or opposing this. I would recommend the commissioners make a comment, because you've got until October 31st to go to the BOEM website, that's BOEM website, and make a comment. But you as a board, you can create a proclamation very similar to the proclamation that was just passed here in Coos County opposing this project, because we have to stand together to protect our coast and to protect our wildlife. And I want to thank you, all of you, for giving me this time.
Thank you for your public comment. That is the last person registered for public comment, so I'll return it back to you.
Thank you for managing the queue, Ms. Ellis. I'll look around Harris Hall. Does anyone else in Harris Hall wish to address the Board of County Commissioners? I see none. Then we'll move along to the next item on our agenda, which is response or remonstrances from the Board of Commissioners. I'll look to the board. Commissioner Lovell.
Thank you, Chair. Again, thank you for all your comments and your passions. I just, like I said, every time it's my favorite part. There's a couple things that struck me today, especially Stephanie at Restored Connections and Hunter and Larry. You guys are doing great work. I just want to tell the public that you're one of my heroes in the community, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and more about you, that we can partner up and get some of these things done, because you're housing, what did you say last time you housed 156 people just in the last number of weeks? 170 some? Yeah. 195. Well, the number just keeps going up, so you just get better all the time. So again, thank you for what you guys do, and I've personally been there, and so I would welcome any of my colleagues to go and tour your facility. You guys do a great job. Rich, you and I have had a lot of conversations about what's going on with the homeless, and man, you're one of my heroes, because you're just pressing the envelope and you're sticking with it. So again, just publicly, I'm going to tell you you're doing a great job. And yeah, there's a lot of issues that we need to have with the homeless. Do we do a camping area for them just to get off the streets and get them collected, so we can at least engage with them, to bring services to them, or to get them in a safe place to where they're not feeling like they need to abuse or break into some businesses to survive? You know, all of those issues are things that you and I have talked and toured with around West Eugene, and it's a complex issue, and I'm like you, I'm looking for an out-of-the-box solution and an entrepreneurial effort, so that's where my focus is. As far as the other issues, the wind turbine thing, that's a whole separate issue, and I'm thinking that my colleagues and I are going to be talking about that. That's a big jump for me. Being 6 years in the Navy, I know exactly how things deteriorate and how rapidly they deteriorate in the ocean. Wow, that's a big stretch. But the thing that kind of bothers me as well is consistently for the last probably 4 months, probably, we've had people coming to us about land management issues and appealing to us to help them in some form or fashion to hear cases. And Chair, if there's any possibility that we could have a conversation at this point about making a motion to hear one of these cases. I think the Basaraba case would be a good test case to hear. I would like to open that up if this is the appropriate time, or at least make the appropriate time for that discussion to happen.
And thank you, Commissioner Lovell. I think later in the agenda, under agenda team requests, would probably be an appropriate spot for that, for such a motion. Thank you. Looking to the rest of the board. No further comments from the board this morning. Thank you all for being here. We're going to be moving along with our agenda now. Next item on our agenda is our consent calendar. We have before us a consent calendar. The consent calendars will be passed by a single motion. Every single item on the consent calendar has been reviewed by the Board of Commissioners, and anything requiring separate discussion would have been pulled from the consent calendar. Vice Chair Trieger.
Chair, I move approval of the consent calendar for Tuesday, October 17, 2023.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Trieger and seconded by Commissioner Buck, the consent calendar for for October 17, 2023. Discussion to the motion. I am seeing none. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you. And Ms. Mokryski, we'll move along now to item 8A on our agenda, which is under Health and Human Services, Order 2310-1704, in the matter of approving one contract and 4 amendments and delegating authority to the county administrator to sign the approved action. And I will ask you if you could please introduce your panel and begin the item. Oh, you know what? We did.
Sorry. Yeah, Rachel was here. She was ready to jump up, and then she heard the 8A.
I'll go back to my
call,
chair.
so.
This should be fast.
This will be fast.
Do you want
I mean, no, the one we skipped will be fast. Let's take a step back and go in
we'll do
order.
it in
I
order.
apologize for that. Not one to rush things. I apologize, Rachel. Then we have before us, it's a first reading and setting of the second reading under Public Works item 7 on ordinance 23-08 in the matter of amending Lane Code 10.600-15 to co-adopt amendments to the Springfield Development Code to implement the parking component of the climate-friendly and equitable communities rules to comply with Oregon's Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, requirements for the city to regulate post-construction site runoff and minimize barriers to low-impact development and green infrastructure under the city's MS4 permit, and to make minor changes to correct errors and provide clarification on code language that was adopted as part of the 2022 Development Code Update Project, with a number of files cited which I will not recite. And Ms. Mokryski, Ms. Surslow, please.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Commissioners. For the record, this is Rachel Surslow, Staff Planner for the co-adoption amendments for the Springfield Development Code. And this is a first reading for ordinance number 2308, also identified as Land Management Division File numbers 509PA23-05416, 05415, and 05422. And this is a code amendment project initiated by the City of Springfield and the Land Management Division. It's 3 different code amendment projects that we're combining into one. And those amendments are for the parking requirements, post-construction stormwater requirements, and other minor code amendments that need to be made to the Springfield Development Code. And this proposal is in accordance with the Urban Transition Agreement made between Lane County and the City of Springfield, which requires joint development and adoption of land use regulations within the Springfield urbanizing area. Amendments to the city's development code must be reviewed and co-adopted by the Board of Commissioners for regulations of the lands between the City of Springfield city limits and the urban growth boundary. And so these amendments require also amendments to Lane Code Chapter 10, so that's what we'll be bringing before you. On August 1st, 2023 and September 5th, 2023, a joint public hearing with the City of Springfield Planning Commission and Lane County Planning Commission was held for these projects. On August 1st, the parking code amendments and minor code amendments were recommended for approval, and then on September 5th, the stormwater code amendments were recommended for approval by both planning commissions. And this item is here before you today for a first reading and request that the board set a second reading and joint public hearing for November 6, 2023 at time certain, 7 p.m. And I'll just make a clarification. The board packet said 6 p.m., but I want to clarify that there will be a work session at 6 p.m. and then the public hearing will begin at 7 p.m. on November 6, 2023. And at that time, city staff and Lane County staff will provide a more comprehensive staff report on those specific amendments. And that's it for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sursleff. I'll look to the board for questions or comments. Otherwise, I'll look to Vice Chair Trigger for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Jones, I don't know if you're on the line. I just, for the record, a clarification, if you need reading in the entirety as it appears on the agenda, or if I can use the motion language in the packet.
I am on the line, and you can use the motion that's in the packet.
Thank you. So with that, Chair, I move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 23-08 and to set the second reading and public hearing for November 6, 2023, with a 6 p.m. work session and a 7 p.m. public hearing, date and time certain.
I'd second that.
Moved by Vice Chair Trigger and seconded by Commissioner Lovall, ordinance 23-08, first reading. Discussion to the motion. I see no discussion. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Sursleff. See you on the 6th, if not before. Thank you. Now, already said this.
Take two.
This will be Order 2310-1704 in the matter of approving one contract, et cetera, that I said earlier. Mr. Mokrahysky.
Thank you, Chair. Debbie Hiesel from Health and Human Services is here to walk you through this item and answer any questions.
Good morning, Commissioners. This item would have been on the consent calendar, but there is a new contract on it. The new contract is a continuation of services already being provided in the community. We ran a new competitive selection process and are entering into a new contract. I don't know if there are any additional questions.
I'll look to the board for questions or comments. I'm seeing none. Thank you for bringing this as a separate motion from the consent calendar. I mentioned earlier that if anything needed separate discussion, it would be pulled from the consent calendar. This is such a case. So, Vice Chair Trigger?
Chair, I will be happy to move approval of Order 23-110-17-04 in the matter of approving one contract and 4 amendments and delegating authority to the county administrator to sign the approved actions.
I'll second.
Moved by Vice Chair Trigger and seconded by Commissioner Buck. Order 2310-1704. Discussion to the motion. Vice Chair Trigger.
Thank you, Chair. Just for folks watching, I just want to point out that this is really significant because of the specific population that it's going to serve. And we hear a lot from folks who want to know, quote, why we're not doing anything about fill in the blank. And often it's because just in the course of business is when we're doing the things about the things. In this case, providing mental health services, particularly for youth and children in our community, and very specifically with our community who may not speak English as their first language, but are working very hard and absolutely fully participating in the community and our society. And so I'm very excited to see this come before us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Trigger. Further discussion? I'm seeing none. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you for your patience. Moving down the agenda to item 9A, Mr. Mokrahysky, we have a report in the matter of presenting information on the City of Eugene's Riverfront Urban Renewal Plan Amendment. And Mr. Mokrahysky, we know your panel, but I'll ask you to introduce them once
We
they step
actually
forward.
do we have everyone here, Jude? No, so we have a
Then
10 o'clock time certain for
That is a
9A.
10 a.m. time
and we're
certain.
about
Thank you very much.
11 minutes away from that.
Then we can move on.
Likewise, I'll just share, Chair, before you introduce the item, 9B is probably going to take us more than 10 minutes. We can try to do it. I can start it, but I know it's a topic that it's near and dear to the board, so you're probably going to want to have more discussion. I have one announcement I can do. You could recess until 10 o'clock. Those are your options.
Let's move forward with your announcents, Mr.
Okay.
Mokrahysky. Then if we have any questions, we can ask. This is a free-for-all on questions from Mr. Mokrahysky.
Okay, so I just have an elections update. It is E+14 for the recall election and E-21 for the special election in November. The October 3rd Holvey recall election saw about 44,000 voters turn out for that election. I'm sorry. There were 44,000 voters eligible in that election. Voters have until next week to cure, I don't have the number actually, I apologize for that. 44,000 eligible voters for that October 3rd Holvey recall election. Voters have until next week to cure a challenged recall ballot. And the final logic and accuracy test and updated results will be posted Wednesday, October 25th, but I will get the final total voter turnout for that election. And then November 7th special election includes about 38,000 voters. Today is the deadline to register to vote for the special election. The elections office is open until 5 p.m. So register for the November 7th if you are in that, or if you're eligible to vote for that. Registration deadline is today, open till 5 p.m. And then ballots will be mailed this Friday, and 13 drop boxes will be open. A list of drop box sites is available on our website. So quick update there for you, and then we'll provide another one next week and the week after.
Excellent.
All gearing up for, what we expect to be a heavy voter turnout elections in May and November of 2024. So that's my update. If you don't have any questions, Chair, you could do commissioner business or you could recess until 10.
Well, let's not waste time, and with the consent of the board, we'll move on to item 10A. It may be truncated by the 10 o'clock time certain, but 10A is announcements from commissioners under commissioner business. So I'll look to the board for any announcements. Nothing to truncate here, eh? Okay. Then we can step into, this may be a little bit longer, but we can see if we can look at future board assignment requests. Commissioner Lovell.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's probably apropos at this time that we, again, open maybe a discussion about the land management cases that we've been hearing, specifically the Daniel Bosaroba case. I think it's important for the board and the public to know who Mr. Bosaroba is. He's a decorated Springfield police officer. He's a highly regarded real estate person. His company has helped in the redevelopment of downtown Main Street in Springfield. He's a respected person in the community, and I think he's got a valid complaint. And I really think that of all of the complaints we've heard, this would be a good test case for us to hear as a board. So I'd like to at least open the discussion to make a motion about hearing this particular case and seeing how we can help him.
Thank you, Commissioner Lovell. You could do it in the form of a motion, or you could ask for head nods with a specific request of Mr. Mokrahayski to potentially, I'll kind of restate what you said, would be looking for head nods from Mr. Mokrahayski to bring forward a review of, specifically Mr. Bosaroba's case. So, Commissioner Buck, to this request.
Yes, to this request. Question and perhaps an ask is, I'm not fully vetted in the case itself. Of course, we've heard a little bit about it, but I'm not fully vetted. And if I understand right, it's gone through hearings, in which case I would, prior to being willing to review the case, I'd prefer to have some kind of update from Council Dorman on the status of where we stand in a process to be able to review that case if it's already gone through hearings. So that would be Council Rebecca Dorman. So I would request that update prior to making a decision so we know that we're in a proper sequence of events prior to making that decision to review.
Thank you. Vice Chair Trigger.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Buck. It makes me think perhaps what would really be beneficial is in two parts. One is an overall sort of presentation on what is the appeals process, because I think we all have a slightly different understanding based on folks that we communicate with, length of time on the board, when we hear things in a quasi-judicial function versus as the Board of Commissioners in our regular order of business. Just sort of first an overview of what that looks like. And then also I know that land management keeps an ongoing appeals report, because some of what seemed to have prompted this request was a sense that there's an unusual number of appeals or cases that are denied or deferred. So I'm wondering if the first step isn't a session on just the overview of what does that process look like? How does a person walk through it? As Commissioner Buck mentioned, where are the opportunities for the board to participate in that process? And then what is sort of the track record of land management in terms of appeals? And then finally, the status of this particular case that we're being asked to potentially take some action on to make sure we don't act out of order.
Thank you, Vice Chair Trigger. Mr. Mokrahayski.
Thank you, Chair. And I know that our county council stepped down here to, I want to just let the board know that we do have time scheduled in an exec session next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, to talk about the process related to some code compliance issues that have come before you. And we certainly can incorporate, the process related to the hearings official. As I recall, and I'm not the definitive authority on this matter, but my recollection, because this came up several months ago, is that the board actually adjusted the code to delegate the authority to the hearings official to hear those cases. And so my recollection is you don't actually have the authority to hear that matter. And so I think that you would want to hear from your legal counsel about the process. That's always been the issue is if you want to establish a different process than exists today, then we have to go through that process to establish a different way of doing it.
Thank you. And I see that Council Pettigrew is with us. If you'd like to step forward and comment, Councilor.
Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I would concur that I think it'd be most prudent at this time to wait for the presentation that will be in executive session next week so that you can fully understand both the powers and limitations as currently exist in code and the manual, and also to provide you with all options to review this specific case and any other cases. And I think that would be most appropriate in session with your council to provide you with those options.
And thank you, Council Pettigrew, for that, and for scheduling the meeting for the executive session for next week. We are working with Lane Code here, which is a very strict citation of how we conduct our business. Lane Code can only be changed by the vote of county commissioners. And so that's something that we can't do without an order. So I'll ask this, Commissioner Lovell. I'm interested in hearing Mr. Basaraba's case, more about it, because he's making some assertions I'd like to simply hear the answers to. Would timing after the executive session next week would that be satisfactory to you if we look at revisiting your motion or your request for head nods after the executive session next week?
Yeah, certainly, Chair, I would. I personally don't want to do things out of order or get us into trouble with a quasi-judicial role that we play, but also I want to keep things rolling along in a time-sensitive fashion. Like I said, we've been hearing this for 4 months, and these people are exasperated and they're frustrated, and I think we owe them timely response. So as long as this stays within a timely fashion, I think that would be appropriate. But we need to give these people at least some degree of hope that their cases are going to be resolved.
Thank you, Commissioner. And that is a time certain on that executive session, I believe, Council, for next week. Is that the 1:30 or the later? It's inconsequential.
Chair Farr.
Yes, Ms. Jones.
Chair Farr, the time certain executive sessions are today. We have not published the agenda for next week yet, but we do not know the time on that one. It could be morning or afternoon.
Perfect. Then that executive session will be on the 24th. So, all right, very good. That's all we need. Commissioner Lovell, thank you for waiting until we've had that discussion during the executive session, and thank you, Council, for stepping forward for clarification, which brings us very close to our 10 o'clock time certain. So.
And I think our partners from the City of Eugene are with us, if I'm not mistaken, so you can go to that item.
Thank you, Ms. Pettigrew.
Sorry, unless you have their other...
We can continue with agenda team requests after the 10 o'clock time certain. So right now we'll move into a report, a matter of presenting information on the City of Eugene's Riverfront Urban Renewal Plan Amendment. And Ms. Mokrasi, we do know your panel, but would you take a moment to introduce or ask them to self-introduce?
Jude, I think they're just getting the presentation set up. Do you want to do an introduction to the item?
No, just say hello, good morning to you all. Jude Anderson, Community Economic Development Manager, but I'm here at the request and in support of my colleagues from the City of Eugene, so I'll just go ahead and hand it to them.
As we set up, Jude, are you a Houston or a Texas fan?
What's that?
Houston or Texas in baseball?
Oh, always Houston.
Always Houston.
Astros till I die.
We'll talk more later. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Amanda D'Souza. I am the Development Programs Manager at the City of Eugene in the Community Development Division, and I'm here with Maurizio Bottalico to discuss a proposed amendment to the Riverfront Urban Renewal Plan. So last year, City Council began discussing both of Eugene's urban renewal districts, which are anticipated to come to the end of their lives this year and next year. In June, council voted to amend the downtown urban renewal district, which we presented to you all in April. And then last month, the agency board initiated the amendment process for the Riverfront urban renewal district, which is what we're here to talk about today. Before I dig into the proposed amendment, I'll quickly give a summary of the existing Riverfront urban renewal district, which was originally created in 1985. The current spending limit, also known as maximum indebtedness, is $34.8 million. The district is set to sunset in June of next year, and the plan was amended in 2004 and 2018. The 2004 amendment established the current spending limit and sunset date, and it also expanded the district by about 34 acres. Whoops, too far. The district was amended twice in 2018 to add just under 2 acres for the railroad quiet zone and to add parcels north of 4th Avenue that are part of the downtown riverfront development. In general, urban renewal funds can be used for the purchase of real property, rehab or construction, site improvements, and improvements to streets, sidewalks, and utilities, essentially anything associated with capital improvements. And projects associated with operations like street cleaning or public safety are not eligible. I'll touch on what's included in the Riverfront District. The Riverfront Plan area covers the land between Franklin Boulevard and the Willamette River, stretching from I-5 in the east over to Pearl in the west, where it meets up with the downtown district. Most of the activity in the Riverfront District has been focused on the western portion of the plan area, including land acquisition and construction of infrastructure for the development of the federal courthouse and redevelopment of EWEB's former industrial yard into the downtown Riverfront neighborhood. I'll start digging into the proposed amendment, starting with the proposed project focus areas. The amendment includes 2 sets of focus areas: existing activities, which includes the steam plant and the downtown riverfront affordable housing, and new activities, which are the 3 project focus areas that were included in the downtown amendment. Those emerge from the downtown priorities and projects effort and include housing, physical improvements to address safety and comfort, and projects directed or initiated by the agency board. Since the western portion of the Riverfront Plan area includes a number of urban blocks that can be considered part of the downtown core, and many of the challenges in downtown are also present in the riverfront, we strategically included so that these same set of tools would be available in the Riverfront District as well. And I'll walk through these in more detail. First, the steam plant. As you probably know, the agency board selected a local team to lead redevelopment of the building. Their proposed project includes a ground floor accessible to the community and a hotel on the upper floors that provides the fiscal foundation. The board approved deal points with the team in January 2022, but a financial gap estimated to be about $6.3 million remains in order for the adaptive reuse project to move forward. The other existing project is the downtown riverfront affordable housing, which has been earmarked for the property located at the northwest corner of 4th Avenue and Mill Street. The agency board approved terms that call for the project to be no less than 75 units and affordable to households at or below 60% of area median income. We estimate an investment of around $5 million is needed to make that project pencil. Next, I'll touch on the 3 focus area buckets carried over from the downtown urban renewal amendment. The housing bucket includes 2 projects to support the creation of housing. The first is development fee assistance, which would pay for government-imposed development fees for new housing, such as system development charges or permit fees. And then real property acquisition allows the agency board to acquire property and offer it for reduced or no cost for new housing. And both of these help to offset construction costs to make housing projects financially feasible. The next bucket carried over from the downtown amendment is physical improvements to address safety and comfort. This allows the agency to make physical improvements to street, curbs, sidewalks, and other right-of-way in the plan area to create safe, accessible, and welcoming spaces for users. And then the third focus area bucket is projects directed or initiated by the agency board. For this proposed amendment, these are a mix of projects the agency board has discussed before and projects that align with the downtown priorities and projects. In this bucket, possible projects include parking and mobility infrastructure to accommodate the increase of residents and visitors in the Riverfront District. This could range from activities like expanding bike share facilities to providing more parking. Another possible project is supporting EWEB in the effort to reroute the transmission lines that service the Willamette substation and run from the electrical tower in the Riverfront Park. The agency board could choose to pursue other open space projects like continuing improvements along the South Bank Bike Path east of the Riverfront Park. The agency board could provide financial assistance to support the revitalization of vacant storefronts and underutilized properties. And then the last set of activities is other public facilities, which is carried over from the current Riverfront Urban Renewal Plan. As an example, this could support some of the efforts to renovate the future City Hall space. If the proposed plan amendment were approved, the agency board would need to provide direction before any of these projects could move forward. And by including them now, they just become eligible for urban renewal funds, meaning the agency board could choose to initiate them without having to amend the plan. We presented 3 spending scenarios to the agency board. At this same point in the downtown amendment, the board had chosen which scenario to move forward with, but for this amendment, they wanted feedback on all 3. Each spending scenario has a different increase to the spending limit or maximum indebtedness. Spending scenario A is focused on completion of the 2 outstanding downtown riverfront projects, the steam plant and affordable housing. The scenario assumes most of the spending limit increase would be allocated to those 2 projects, with a small amount of money available for emerging projects initiated by the agency board. This scenario includes a $15 million increase to the spending limit, which is estimated to extend the district by 5 years. Spending scenario B includes those 2 outstanding projects, but also includes the 3 focus area buckets, housing, physical improvements, and agency board projects. Under this scenario, the spending limit would increase by $25 million, which would extend the district by about 8 years. And then spending scenario C is similar to B, but with the spending limit increase of $45 million and even more funds allocated to the new buckets, especially housing. It's estimated this would extend the district by about 15 years. I won't spend too long on this slide, but this is a summary of what's included in each of the spending scenarios. As part of the amendment process, we have to estimate how much is allocated to each of these projects and activities, and actual amounts will depend on future agency board action. You'll note that the projects and the project numbers in the middle don't add up to the spending limit increase, and that's because we've budgeted about 10 to 15% of the spending limit to project delivery administration. Those costs include everything from staffing, attorney fees, and borrowing costs to appraisals and environmental reviews, basically all the tasks needed to implement the projects. I'll now hand it off to Maurizio to give an overview of the fiscal implications should the Riverfront Plan be amended.
Thanks, Amanda. Good morning, Commissioners. Again, my name is Maurizio Badalico. I'm with the City of Eugene's Finance Division, and I'll be reviewing some of the fiscal implications of the proposed plan amendment. So if the plan is amended, annual tax increment revenue, which was $3.4 million in FY23, will continue to be collected by the Riverfront District and will grow over time up to a legal limit that we'll review in more detail later. The tax increment revenue could be spent on the eligible projects in the plan area. If the plan is ultimately not amended and the agency discontinues tax increment collection, the funds would instead be given to the overlapping taxing districts. So under this scenario, again, based on FY23 data, the city's general fund would receive about $1.4 million per year. The county's general fund would receive an estimated $249,000 per year, and an estimated $928,000 would be collected on behalf of School District 4J, but due to state school funding mechanisms and property tax compression, 4J would actually see a net decrease of $45,000 per year to their budget if tax increment revenue collection stopped. So now I'm going to introduce 2 topics that impact the financial forecast for the Riverfront District. I'll briefly introduce each topic, and then we'll revisit them later with a chart that will help us visualize how these items impact the tax revenue projection. So the first topic is the frozen base increase. So the city's current adopted budget includes an additional $400,000 of property tax revenue annually for the general fund, starting in FY25, which can be accomplished through a frozen base increase in the proposed Riverfront Plan amendment. The financial forecast for the proposed amendment assumes the frozen base assessed value is permanently increased from $50.6 million to $110.4 million. So this amount of frozen base increase will redirect $800,000 per year from the Riverfront District to the overlapping taxing districts. So the city's general fund will receive about half of this amount, the county's general fund will receive about 9%, or $73,000 per year, and the remainder will go to the other overlapping taxing districts. So the next topic I'd like to introduce is revenue sharing, which is a newer state-mandated requirement that has not yet occurred in either of our urban renewal districts. Revenue sharing results from a legal limit on the amount of tax increment revenue that an urban renewal district can collect in any 1 year. Revenue from assessed value growth in the plan area beyond the limit is shared with the overlapping taxing districts. The annual limit for the Riverfront District is anticipated to be 12.5% of its original initial maximum indebtedness, which would equal about $4.35 million. So let's use this chart to review the combined tax revenue for all taxing districts generated from assessed value within the Riverfront plan area, and we'll see the impact of the frozen base increase and revenue sharing. So first, let's orient ourselves with the layout of this chart. On the vertical axis on the left, we have tax revenue in millions, and on the horizontal axis on the bottom, we have years. The purple star indicates that we are now in FY24, and the vertical dash line between FY24 and FY25 indicates the transition from the existing plan to the new plan amendment. The red stop signs along the bottom indicate the estimated final year for each of the 3 spending scenarios that Amanda reviewed earlier. So let's start with the frozen base. Tax revenue generated from the frozen base goes to the overlapping taxing districts. The city receives half of this amount, and the county receives about 9%. You can see the frozen base increase in FY25 provides additional revenue to the overlapping taxing districts. Next is the tax increment revenue that goes to the Riverfront Urban Renewal District. Revenue sharing is projected to limit tax increment revenue growth for the district starting in FY30, causing the revenue to remain flat after that. The final portion of tax revenue is generated from revenue sharing. Revenue from assessed value growth beyond the limit is shared with the overlapping taxing districts. Similar to the frozen base, the city will receive half of this amount, and the county will receive about 9%. The significant growth in revenue sharing in the out years of this forecast is largely driven by the private taxable development currently underway at the downtown Riverfront redevelopment site. And with that, I'll hand it back to Amanda to wrap up.
I'll end on next steps for the amendment. State statutes require we reach out to Planning Commission, send out a public notice mailer, and hold a public hearing, which have all been completed. We're also required to reach out to overlapping taxing districts for comments, which is why we're here today. Council is scheduled to review any comments at their November 15th work session and take action on the amendment on November 27th. With that, we'll hand it back to you, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have about the amendment.
Thank you. You know, I spent 10 years on the board of the Urban Renewal District, and that's the best presentation I've seen in terms of making it understandable, putting it in terms that are really clearly easy to understand. Because after 10 years, boy, I'll tell you, it was still, tax increment financing is complex. And the limit placed by the state has made it even more complex. But it's also beneficial to the taxing district. So I think we may have some questions from the board, but 1995, I became a member of that board, which is concurrent with being a member of the Eugene City Council. And I believe the mayor is not a member of the board, that board, correct?
I think she still is.
Or she still is a member of the board then. So a lot of questions that may surround tax increment financing, but specific to this project and specific to Lane County's share in funding this project. So I'll look to the board for questions or comments. It is complex, but you've can we see that previous slide, the one that shows the three,
the three
buckets of money? Yeah.
Yep, I will do that.
I'm still just processing the idea of 2039, so. Sorry, my brain hung up for a minute.
Not that one, the graph.
Oh, let's see.
I think it was the last slide you showed.
The green, blue,
that one
green,
right there, yeah.
right.
So on the lower, the frozen base revenue, that's the amount of taxation that would be collected should there be no improvements on the property. The green portion are improvements that the proceeds go directly to the Urban Renewal District for its legal use. And then anything in the blue area beyond is the new pot of money that actually is returned to the taxation districts. And you mentioned that the city of Eugene is about 50%, Lane County is about 9%, and the balance, the other 41%, goes among the other taxing districts, school districts, et cetera, which a 4J would receive a net loss. But it also would include Bethel, and it would also include fire districts and other.
No, the others, it's not Bethel, because the urban renewal districts don't overlap.
Don't overlap Bethel, right on.
Districts, so the other ones would be Lane Community College, Lane Education Service District, and the new one, the
Upper Willamette
Upper Willamette
Conservation.
Soil and Conservation District. Yeah.
That's the extent of the districts. Okay, great. Then that cleared that one up for me. And part of your process is touching bases with each of those districts, each of their boards, and getting comments or questions from them.
We've reached out to all of them, and we're presenting to 4J School Board because we need their concurrence on the plan in order for it to be amended.
Right on. Then I will look to the board for any questions or comments. Commissioner Lovell.
Yeah, great job putting this all together. Simply like Chair Farr said, I'm looking at the numbers too, and I'm looking at that steam plant building, and knowing that we've developed buildings similar to that where you want to save the historic nature of the building, but really basically all you have when you finish is siding. That's really what that building's going to be. And when I see that number of $6.3 million, I'm thinking, oh, you're going to need a lot more to fix that thing the way you want to. So I'm excited about that project. I'm also excited the fact that, you know, between 1995 and like 2010 or even now, we really haven't really committed to a long-term deep dive into economic development and infrastructure. And so this project really excites me that you've proven that not only it's a good idea, but in the future it's going to, you know, return some tax base back into the system that we continually have to cut from. So I'm excited and I'm here to support any way I can. So good job. Thank you,
Commissioner Lovell. Further questions, comments from the board? I'm not seeing any, but I'll mention that Ann Fifield is in the audience today. If we had any questions directed toward you, or if you have any comments that you'd like to add. Well, you and I spent a cool afternoon last week kind of high-fiving each other on different things. I enjoyed that. So. Literally, actually, not kind of. We actually were. Very good. Then we have no further questions or comments. We do have this is a report. We have no action by the board other than to say, from my point of view, bravo, continue the good work. Some of it's been slow moving, but it seems to be gathering momentum right now as we speak. Just a quick question, the U of O improvements in the area, let's see, is it called the Knight Center?
Night Campus, yeah.
Knight Campus. That's inside the Urban Renewal District?
It
but
is.
None of that is any of that funded by the Urban Renewal District?
Nope, they've kind of been running with it. I think there's opportunity to leverage the work they're doing to make improvements, but it's been pretty contained to themselves, yeah.
But through the years, there have been a number of projects that have been, including some transportation improvements in that area and other buildings that have gone up in that area. A lot of jobs have been created through the urban renewal, through that particular urban renewal district. And in the other one, the downtown, we of course have a library and lots of other wonderful things that are created through urban renewal districts. An excellent tool that the city uses admirably. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
With that, with no further comments, thank you for the presentation this morning.
Thank you.
Then we'll move down our agenda, Mr. Mokrajewski, to item 9B, which is Order 2310-1705, in the matter of establishing a limited duration task force to explore long-term public safety funding solutions. And this morning we have I know that chart. We have a panel who is moving. Do we have a
I'm
panel this
feeling
morning?
kind of lonely up here, but we do have support. So you see the sheriff is here and the sheriff's office is here. I believe DA Perlow was here with us earlier, and she may be able to join. I just don't know what her schedule looked like, and I think Mr. Rickoff hopefully was going to try to join us for parole and probation as well. So I'm happy to, this was an assignment, Chair and Commissioners. The board requested, I'll just read the assignment, was the county administrator coordinate with the community justice director, sheriff, district attorney, and Health and Human Services Behavioral Health to review and return to the board with an update on the 10-year public safety plan and options for long-term stabilized funding for our public safety system. So I'll give a little bit of history and context, share with you the discussions that we've had with our public safety team, and then the board order and request that is in front of you for the creation of a limited duration task force to assist in making evaluating options and making recommendations to the board. In 2005, this is noted in your packet, 2005, there was work done by a public safety task force that was convened to identify the gaps in the public safety system and provide goals for the following 5 years. There were some options brought forward, number of discussions, some things that were put forward but ultimately not enacted at that time. Then if you fast forward to 2012, the county was faced, and we don't have the chart here, but you all can visualize during budget season, we have the 20-year Secure Rural Schools funding chart that shows inflation adjusted, and it goes, depending on where you're sitting, the chart goes down. It shows the trend line decreasing about 90% funding in federal resources, both to the general fund and the road fund, from those federal, that federal entitlement program. That has resulted in about a $40 million reduction in inflation-adjusted funding to the general fund and the road fund. Much of those resources, so $40 million, think about $40 million in additional funding today that we would have to maintain our road and bridge infrastructure and fund our public safety system that's been wiped off our books. It gives you an idea of the lack of resources that we have today to provide really an adequate public safety system in the county. So that chart showed a big drop off in 2012. And some folks will remember that that was the time that this was 11 years ago. Lane County eliminated 20 positions. It's 200 positions from the organization. Many of those positions came from our public safety system, the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, parole and probation, and other youth services and other places in the county. So that cut was the last significant reduction on top of several prior decades of sort of steady cuts in our public safety system in Lane County, all due to the fact that we have an artificially low permanent property tax rate in Lane County. We talked about during the budget process, I think, and through several meetings. I think we mentioned a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Community Corrections Act funding that supports parole and probation and jail beds. The Deschutes County, right, that has the same permanent property tax rate, $1.28 per thousand, as Lane County, yet Deschutes County has two separate permanent rates that fund their public safety system. A county-wide rate that funds the jail and prosecution and some parole and probation services, and then a rural district that funds the patrol, the sheriff's patrol side of things, as well as there's some funding for 911 emergency response services as well. So 2012, we saw that last big cut. And then in 2013, Lane County was successful after many failed attempts to go out to the voters and seek additional funding. 2013, the public safety levy that funds additional jail beds for the adult system, as well as for a youth system. It's noted a minimum of 255 local adult jail beds and 16 youth treatment and detention beds is what that has funded for Lane County. Then, and we received approximately, I'm going to look at the share, approximately 60% support in 2013. Yeah, and then in 2000, we actually went out a year early, 2017. It was for the 2018 renewal, another 5 years. Every 5 years, we have to go out and ask for this again. The renewal in 2017-18 was about 70%, close to 70%. Right around, we'll get the, okay, right around 70%, give or take. And then in 2023, in large part because of the work that the sheriff's office, the county, and our current sheriff have done to go out and manage these resources and then communicate the work that's happening, we receive nearly 80% support by the voters. So you see a steady increase in the support that voters have given to that levy renewal, but it puts us in this position every 5 years of having to go out and ask to renew that. So it is, it's been a critical funding piece, but it also is not, you know, we have to go out and do that work and continue to demonstrate what's happening there. It's also important to note that it's only funding a part of the system. And so we dusted off this, this old graphic that we put together several years ago. So the detail on here, when you talk about the fine print and the numbers have changed over the years, but I think this was around 2015, 16 that we put this graphic. Can you see that? Okay, thank you, Neil, for this graphic. The idea here was to illustrate, you know, this was 7, 8 years ago, that as critical as the funding is for individual pieces of the system, it's really a system as a whole. That if we're just thinking about funding, you know, one-off sort of pieces of it, we're not really understanding the full complement of services that have to be invested in order for us to have a fully functioning public safety system and a safe and healthy county, which is ultimately the priority of this board and the community, is to maintain a safe and healthy county. So this graphic shows, you know, sort of the spin wheel of we need to invest in adult and youth correction institutions. We have to have a well-funded prosecution system so that, you know, the DA's office has the resources necessary to prosecute crime. We have to have supervision through our parole and probation team that is then supervising the offenders that are referred into supervision. We have to have patrol, both in the urban and the rural areas, to be able to respond to crimes that are in process. And then in the middle of that wheel, you see the arrows are pointing to the services that we need to get people connected to: mental health, behavioral health, substance abuse treatment, workforce development treatment, housing, and other community-based services. We're gonna have a work session here in a few weeks. We're still working on the timing of that to talk about the whole behavioral health system side of things. We know that the jail is providing a lot of behavioral health services, but the jail is not the best place to do that for all folks. We need a behavioral health stabilization center. We also need an adequately functioning behavioral health unit connected to a hospital. So all of these things now are bubbling up and on the table. But again, this graphic is just to show we're not really doing it right today, right? We're plugging holes and we're trying to do the basic level things as best we can with the limited resources, but the system is broken. So this is all to say that we have, the team here has met several times. The sheriff, the district attorney, parole and probation, health and human services, and county administration team has met several times to talk about how do we respond to the board's request, which is to engage in a broader community conversation about a more robust and longer term solution to this broader system solution that's really needed. So our recommendation to you is that we engage the community. If you look at other times that we've sought, whether it's back in 2005 that we had a task force on public safety, if you look more recently at efforts around our Parks Master Plan and funding efforts, and you can look at a myriad of other policy, less funding, but policy-related issues where we've engaged the community and stakeholder groups in helping us solve really thorny issues, vegetation management or large events in parks. We've been successful when we've engaged the community in these solutions. So we're recommending the creation of a nonpartisan, limited duration task force to evaluate and recommend possible long-term public safety funding solutions as a first step in a community discussion regarding the future of public safety in Lane County. The task force of Lane County residents would include up to 11 community members, 5 of those appointed by the Board of Commissioners, and 6 of them appointed by the county administrator in consultation with our public safety team. Just to be specific, each commissioner would appoint 1 applicant who lives within the commissioner's district from the pool of eligible applicants at the close of the application period. So we would go out and ask people to submit applications, and then each commissioner would be, and this is consistent with sort of the process that we've run for other other groups that you've had. In some ways, the Charter Review Committee that has recently been in the works, and then your Budget Committee where the board also makes appointments to. You see a timeline. We're certainly, the task force will need to determine what the timeline for this work would be. We think at least 6 to 8 meetings of the task force over the course of the next 5 to 6 months. Could go longer than that. We think that there needs to be some support from seeking feedback from the broader voter community, and so reaching out and doing some polling work and trying to understand what voters' thoughts and sentiments are around the public safety system and various funding options. So I think I will stop there. The idea then is that we would bring back recommendations, ultimately would come back to the board, recommendations from this task force. And this then would help us to identify the right direction, the right path to pursue as it relates to what pieces of the system are most critical to fund, what is the interest and tolerance of the voters in terms of various funding options that would be available. We know that this type of work takes a lot of time. There's a lot of community engagement, and there's a lot of time necessary, not just in identifying the right approach, but then seeking support from the community for that ultimate outcome. So we're wanting to do this over the course of not only the next several months, but the next few years. And so we're trying to build in this public process up front as much as possible. So again, we have here with us the sheriff and probation, and the district attorney isn't able to be with us at the moment, but I know she's with us in spirit. So I'd like to, if there's anyone that wants to come and add anything to this discussion, please come do so, or otherwise commissioners know that they're available for questions. The sheriff, come on up.
Thank you, Ms. Smoker. I'll recognize Sheriff Harold.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, and I'll try not to be repetitive of what Mr. Mokorajski has already said, because I agree with so much of it. I will say thanks to the board for your interest in this topic, for giving the assignment. I experienced support from all of you when we went out for the levy earlier this year, and so I just thank you for your support towards finding a solution. I'm in my 28th paid year with Lane County and my 33rd year in general being a part of the sheriff's office, and so really my whole life has been talking about the under-resourced nature of our system here in Lane County, and the fact that when we talk about the timber revenues being reduced and then the SRS revenues, we're certainly not the only county, but we are the only metro county that experience those. And so a population the size we have compared to some of the other counties, and trying to provide adequate public safety services to that population without great resources. So I would just say that I'm encouraged that this process is taking place. I will highlight that I think it's so important that we do have it be community member led. So I shouldn't speak for the district attorney, but I'll say for my own self, I sort of tire of hearing myself talk about us being under-resourced. And so I'm excited about the idea of convening a group of community individuals, leaders. I'm hoping to see that it's staffed with folks who are leaders within their community, who have credibility within their circles of influence, that we get an opportunity to visit with them, explain to them what the Lane County public safety system is, and that then they can, speaking to you and speaking to the public, talk about Lane County's public safety system instead of it coming from me or the DA or those of us that have been engaged in the services. It'll be these community members who have become informed through this process, and then they're speaking about Lane County's public safety system and its needs. So I'm excited about that prospect and that methodology. And with that, I'll stop. Thanks.
Then if I may, I'm going to jump in and ask you a question, Sheriff Harold. Ms. Mokorajski has already described the robust set of meetings, the robust process that brought us to this point in time. And it sounds as though it was a meeting with you and other public safety officials, including the district attorney. Can you talk about that process, about that robust process that brought us to this point?
Yeah, I'll just share that we've had a number of meetings trying to sort of as a group come together on a proposal for Mr. Mokorajski to bring back to you on a process. And so getting the opportunity to talk about who we envision needing to be involved in this process, and the importance of it being very public-led. Again, because of my history with the office, I was around for a lot of our failures where we attempted to go out to the taxpayers and ask for resources. And while I wasn't in leadership at the time, I can look back at it now, and one of the fundamental differences that I think occurred, those efforts were informed by the people that were leading, and so they would get together and say, well, here's what we need and here's what it'll cost. And then going out and trying to explain that to taxpayers rather than asking the public first to be engaged and say, public, what do you think we need? And what are you willing to pay? And then, you know, in 2013, it's been relayed to me that that was really part of the successful formula, was there was so much work done beforehand asking the public, what is it that you think is important? And what's your sort of price point? You know, what are you willing to invest in what you think is important? So us having that conversation in an internal group and sort of remembering that history of this is the way we ought to go about that has been productive.
Thank you for that. And you recalled history a little bit. And back in 2013, Sheriff Turner and Sergeant Carver hit every corner of the county, as you did in this last effort on the election. So with that, to the board, we have before us an order to look at, to wordsmith, if we want to wordsmith the order, and to ask questions about what the order is before we entertain a motion. I'll begin with you, Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sheriff and Administrator, for bringing this forward. When the time comes, I think we probably want to have some discussion. I'm prepared with a motion. And I am fine with the order as it is written, but I do have a couple of questions about, and want to make some comments about it overall, and then some questions about the process. I think it's really important, and this is a great opportunity and will be for the duration of the work of this task force and our discussions about it, that while we're focused on funding public safety, we can't really decouple the impact of the decrease in funding on public safety in other departments of the county, right? Because we're an organization as a whole, so we're continually making trade-offs and decisions about what part of the system to fund and what kind of services we're able to resource in the community that lead to either increases or decreases in the need for some of the pieces of the public safety system. So I think it's important that while this task force is focused specifically on public safety funding, that we maintain a holistic approach when we talk about the impacts to us as an organization and the community of the funding. I also love the idea of a task force because fresh eyes means fresh ideas. It can really depoliticize the conversations which we need to have happen. And it creates, like with our budget committee, sort of ambassadors out into the community where they're talking amongst themselves as a task force and providing us with recommendations, but they're also talking out in their networks, and that is really important to have those trusted voices out in the community talking about this. My process concerns are minimal but potentially significant, and one is that it's going to be an 11-member task force, so I'm wondering if, again, not tinkering with the order, but just have a conversation with my colleagues, if we want to set some kind of minimum number of applicants that we will consider a sufficient pool from which to seat an 11-member task force and commit to going out again for more recruitment if we don't hit that number. I mean, there's a part of me that says, well, if you only get 11 applicants, but they're exactly the right 11 people, do you need more than 11? But I think we do want more than 11. But what is that number, and do we want to at least have a conversation about it to give you some guidance around that? The other is the timeline has us doing the recruitment. It says October to November 23. Well, we're halfway through, more than halfway through October already. And so I've raised this before of concern about getting people's attention and recruiting people for things as we head into a time of year when people are paying a little less attention maybe, or it's harder. So if we're sort of ready, if there's been work behind the scenes and we're ready with those recruitment materials to kind of pop within a day or two of this meeting and we're running it through the month of November, it's probably fine. But I want to be thoughtful about if we're bumping up against holidays. And that relates to that other concern about do we have a big enough, what's a big enough pool to consider having really gone out to solicit applications.
Yeah, to just answer the question about timing, yes, our goal was to get the applications out, and you know, we really need to rely also on all of you to share the process, encourage folks in your districts to participate. So we'll do all of that, and the idea was to to do that before we hit the holiday season of Thanksgiving, so that the application process would be, the deadline for applications would be prior to Thanksgiving. I think that was our goal.
Great. And then the last question, if I could, Chair, is working backwards. It talks about a presentation to us at the end of April of '24, but that doesn't limit us to then asking the task force to continue working or doing so. I didn't know if we were trying to work back from a November ballot deadline, or, I mean, we have the levy in place for a handful more years, right?
No, yes, there's, and really, this is just put forward as a rough estimate of a timeline to give you an idea, because the task force may say, hey, we need more time. We want to, or the board may want the task force to go back out and look at some other things. So this is just, to me, this is probably the tightest timeline that's possible, reasonably, but it certainly could go longer. And I think that's subject to both the board's interest in what you would like to see and the task force's interest in terms of any additional outreach, engagement, or analysis that it wants to do.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Further questions, comments? Commissioner Senega.
Yeah, those great questions. Those were a couple of the ones I had. My thought with the timeline is the temperature seems right now. Coming off the wind of that 80% was really why I agreed with you that we go after this task force now. My question, I also have a question about the 11 people. Who did you come up with? How did we come up with 11 people? To me, that almost just seems like a lot, a hard-sized group to work with. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we had a lot of discussion in the group, and Devin can come up because both County Administration PIO and the Sheriff's PIO were really did a lot of work around the coordination. I'll just say we looked at kind of a low end and a high end, and thinking we didn't really want to, we felt like a group that was going into, had like over 15 was going to be really big. And then, under 7 felt like maybe it wasn't giving the opportunity for enough sort of representation and engagement. And there was then discussion about quorums and what it is going to take to get a quorum, and how do we make sure that it's not like overly restrictive so the group can meet if certain people can't be there for all that time. So there was a lot of discussion about that. You want to?
Chair Farr, Commissioner Senega, we looked at past task forces and committees and looked for which were most successful. The Parks Task Force is a wonderful example, and we modeled a lot of this proposal on that work, but it was an incredibly large group, and they struggled a little bit. We also did not want to err on the side of having too few members, partly for those issues regarding a quorum, but also because Lane County is a very large and diverse place, and we wanted to try to find a balance where we had enough places that can be reflected without creating such a large group that they're just unable to move forward.
So who would be part of that public safety committee that picks the 6? Because it is a very large and diverse county. That was kind of my concern, is making sure each district gets that representation. If you're picking 6, do you pick 2 from each district out of that pool, or how's that going to work?
The idea was that in the group and this is when I say the group, it was myself, the sheriff, the district attorney, parole and probation director, and Health and Human Services Director, along with the PIOs and county admin and the sheriff's office. That was the group that met probably half a dozen times in person or virtually, and then there were a number of meetings that happened outside of that. The group felt like having the commissioners pick 5, which is what you do for the budget committee, and I think was done for the charter review committee, and then having the county administrator, after that's done, round out the task force. So we can then determine, okay, the commissioners have appointed these 5 folks, here's what representation looks like. Geographic representation, different types of groups and interests that are involved. And then the county administrator, in consultation with that group, can look at the other applicants and say, okay, are there other gaps, other things that we want to sort of round out? So we did have a conversation about geographic diversity, making sure that was there, and that we have the voices from different parts of the county There aren't sort of communities that feel, Florence, for example, because it's so far and the coastal piece feels they oftentimes feel like their voice isn't included, that we have a representative from there, because it could be that you end up appointing someone from some other part of West Lane County or East Lane. So that was the idea, is that the group we'd allow the commissioners to pick the 5, and the 5 that you all see fit to pick, and then the group would identify 6 other applicants from the pool that help balance out that group.
If this is approved by the board today, we'll be able to release an online application tomorrow. And I would make sure that each of you has that information as well. And we would ask that anyone interested apply using the same form. And then we would bring that back to the board for consideration, so that every applicant considered has at least gone through that application process. And it's a very simple application. We don't want it to be overwhelming or onerous at all for folks to complete. So should be fairly quick for people who are interested.
Thank you. Further discussion, Commissioner Lovall.
Thank you, Chair. I share some of the same questions that my colleagues have exercised and asked today. 11 to me seems a little cumbersome. How about 9? In my mind, I think that the colleagues I have on this table before you are very smart, very astute, have people in mind that I think would do a very good job at bringing forth ideas and concerns and issues and out-of-the-box thinking to this process. So in my mind, if each of the county commissioners selected their own appointee, I'm thinking the application process is maybe a little bit cumbersome for them, albeit it may be required at some level. I don't really necessarily think it does. But I think if we selected 4 people from the county council or the county administrators pool, I think that would be adequate enough to have a quorum. I think the concern about having 11 people or more and all that kind of stuff creates a certain sense of less nimbleness, if you will. I think the people that we're going to pick for this committee, like I said, from the 5 of our colleagues, are going to be people who are really important people that hold this issue very important. So I think there's a momentum and an energy that they'll bring to the task force. But I think 9's good, and I think Vice Chair's concern about timing and time of year, I think, is valid, because if we're looking for a group of 6 people, certainly I think we could find a group of 4 probably in a more efficient manner at this time of year. And the last thing that I was going to comment on was also, too, about the deadline. Now, Mr. Mokrajewski, you had said that this is an optimistic deadline of getting us all together and starting to meet and having some results back by April. So in my mind, I was thinking, like Vice Chair was thinking, reverse engineering some artificial deadlines in the future. If we had a decision, could we then in April have some sort of mechanism to get something to the voters in a timely fashion for November? That to me is very important. I'd want to keep this process not only nimble but efficient and on high gear, if you will, so that if there's a possibility to get something to the voters in November, that we can do that and get this problem nipped in the bud sooner than later. I mean, I keep saying this over and over. What irritates me the most is how slow government works. I would like to see this work really efficiently. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Buck.
Thank you, Chair. I trust what you all discussed before you came here. It sounds like you talked with the sheriff and the DA and came up with what you're presenting here today. And I will trust your judgment. You're the experts in the field. And so I don't really have any problem with the number of people that you've presented for the group. I also trust your judgment as our administrator to pick the right people to round out the task force as well. So for me, that's not an issue. But what I did want to address is I know we all want to have a solution done and as fast as humanly possible. I get that, but if you don't have the community coming with you along the way, it's not going to be successful. So if it doesn't make the ballot next year because we need more community buy-in and input, we should make sure that happens. And if it needs to extend to another deadline, then that's just the way it needs to be. You know, this will take a lot of leadership skills throughout the community, and that comes with the community being involved in a really big way. This is not, you know, a general renewal of a levy. This is a whole new district. It's a whole new concept for our community. And I'm concerned that if we try to speed up the timeline too quickly, we won't be as successful as we could be. So I want to share that with you as my colleagues and people that are listening. For me, it's more important that we ultimately come out successful than a speedy timeline.
Thank you, Commissioner Buck. Ms. Ashbridge.
Chair Farr, I'd like to just offer a little more insight into the timeline identified in the board packet. Mr. Mokrzycki was correct that it is what we would expect to be the absolute quickest, and it was frankly a little bit arbitrary. It's included because we felt it was important to at least give people who might be interested in applying a sense of the minimal time commitment. What we're asking for is not an insignificant amount of time by any means from the people who ultimately serve on this committee. It would absolutely end up really being up to the committee if they feel that they need more time, but we wanted to at least give them the bar for what we expect the minimal time commitment to be. That way we don't end up with folks who are passionate about this topic and interested in serving on the committee, but who can't then fulfill that commitment because it turns out to be much larger than they can manage. So I apologize if that has caused confusion or issues with the board packet, but that was why we felt it was important to include, and it's absolutely flexible. It was not created with a particular election cycle in mind by any means, but just to give people an idea of the time commitment we'd be looking for.
Well, thank you for that clarification, Ms. Ashbridge. I think that's fairly clear that this is the quickest we could do it. Then I'm going to say a few words, then go to a second round. You know, it's not a matter of trust in who would be selected to round out the committee beyond the 5 that are appointed by the board. It's a matter of do we have the right pool to choose from? And there's my concern, is if we choke down the pipeline by having a time limit on people applying, we're just simply not going to get everyone who's potentially qualified, everyone who could do the very best job. This is an historic event that's happening. What we expect that what's going to precipitate from this, Mr. Mokrzycki, is something that's going to change this county, as it did Deschutes County, for instance, in perpetuity, or in the foreseeable future, for that at least. And so it's important that we do it right. Commissioner Senega talks about the timing of it being so quickly on the heels of what has been a tremendous success, the greatest success I've ever seen outside of an elected official race at 80%. I mean, that's outrageous. So we have great momentum. People understand the need for public safety support in the community. So on that hand, timing quickly, moving as quickly as possible is great, because it's still fresh in people's minds, still fresh in a lot of people's minds saying yes on the ballot. But on the other hand, doing it right, because this is something we're going to live with hopefully for a long, long time, and to look in the rearview mirror and said, if only we'd taken a little bit more time, we might have fill in the blank. So I'm interested in taking as much time as possible while keeping an eye on the quickest possible time, Mr. Mokrzycki, making it happen as quickly as possible. As far as the selection of the committee, I'm looking at the order that's in front of us. It's not specific at all, other than it says the county administrator shall establish. It doesn't say anything about 5 commissioners making individual appointments, and it also states 11. And it doesn't talk about how the other 6 will be chosen. Ms. Mokrzycki, you've stated, and I'll give you a nod in just a second, Ms. Ashbridge. You've stated that you'd select the other 6 in conjunction with the sheriff and the DA and other key parties in the outcome of the work. So I'm going to ask you to elaborate on how the other 6 would be chosen, and how do we make certain by passing this order that is the way it's going to happen? Ms. Ashbridge, you have something to say?
Thank you, Chair Farr. If I remember correctly, the wording we included in the order references as written in the board packet. So the intent was that if the board adopts the order as written, it's then tied back to the process in the board packet. I'm sure Ms. Jones is listening carefully. I believe the board, if you make changes, could do that verbally in the order, and that would make the adjustment needed. But Diana, feel free to correct me if that's not true.
I'll listen for that correction, should it occur.
She does love to correct me, so.
She loves to be correct.
She's good at it.
Yes, she is. And I think, because I've heard the concern about timeliness, and this is a good thing that you're raising, the sort of functionality of the group. I mean, I bring the example of the Charter Review Committee that has had some fluctuation because of vacancies, right? People have come on, they get appointed, and then people drop off, and then we have to figure out the reappointment process. And we did reflect on the structure of that group and sort of what worked and maybe what was more challenging with the appointment process there. And we tried to do some things differently to address those issues. So part of the reason for having the administrator, that the board's sort of authority delegated to the administrator to appoint the balance of the group was for two things: to balance out the group, right, to create the sort of geographic and other diversity that is necessary for that to be a thoughtful, objective body to make good recommendations, and two, for expediency, so that you were not sitting going, oh, we got to wait for a board meeting for the board to, we have a vacancy, we got to reappoint and do all of that. And so some of this is really set up to be for just the process to move smoothly and make sure that we have good people that are coming together and making good recommendations in a timely fashion.
Thanks for that clarification, Ms. Mokrowski. Then it comes down to the number of additional members for me. You're suggesting 6. Commissioner Lovell suggests 4. I'm fine with just 5 appointed members, one by each county commissioner. That's the direction I would push us, because I believe that as the elected body, we represent geographically the entire county, and we can call upon our own intuition, our own outreach to make certain that we appoint the right people. So I'm in favor of just 5, but I'm open for that discussion. Let's go into a second round at this point in time. And just one last thing, just reiterate that speed and efficiency is necessary. Haste can certainly foul the process. So the second round, Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that clarification, too, that the order is not so prescriptive, but it refers to the packet. That is important. I want to make clear I am, like Commissioner Buck, trust and support the staff that has spent a lot of time giving this consideration. I am, to quote Spinal Tap, happy to have this one go to 11. I think it does give, as I said in my first round, an important depoliticized conversation or a broader perspective conversation than appointments only from the board. And I also appreciate that it says in the order that we each appoint, that there's an applicant pool. So all applicants have to go through the same process, write the cover letter, fill out the application, not onerous, but some process and some public record and writing of their interest. And that unlike the Budget Committee, we each appoint someone who lives in our district, because we do have the opportunity on the Budget Committee to appoint anyone from Lane County, not just from our district. So that is the way we ensure at least a geographic representation, and I think that's really important. I also do like the idea that it is the administrator in consultation with our public safety leaders that selects those remaining 6. Again, my concern was just, do we have a big enough pool to pull from? I think for a county of our size, 11 is not too large of a group. And lastly, I think the only change for the sake of staff and the process that I would make to the order is in the bullet list of the timeline. It says a final report comes on March 31st, and I would just get rid of the word final. And that would then build in the nimbleness for if the work takes a little longer, if the recruitment process stretches out. It also takes it out of implying that there is one final report, let alone that it comes that soon, because I think we're also making a lot of presumptions as I listen to this conversation that this is going to be the group that figures out whether we put to the voters a public safety district. And the idea is help us problem solve for gaps in public safety funding. And part of the point of a larger group of community members is they might have ideas or ways of approaching funding writ large beyond or in addition to a special district. So that's not connected to an election cycle and so on and so on. So I just want to caution us too, to keep this group able to be as generative as they could possibly be in what they bring forward to us.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Further discussion? Commissioner Lovell?
Thank you, Chair. I think I'm on your page, Chair, on this. I'm thinking that, like I said before, 5 of us are, we have a lot of good contacts. I think we have a good judgment. Obviously, we've been elected to govern over and be the voice of 75,000 people in the community. I would prefer the task force to be structured that the quorum base of the board be on board selection on 5 people. So I would support a 5-4 kind of thing. I also think that I'm on the same page too as the vice chair, is that public opinion is extremely important in this particular instance, and I don't think there'll be a lack of public testimony and public input. So I don't think that's going to be more generative if we have more people on the task force or not. I also am appreciative of the fact that the county administrator is working very closely with our expert staff, of which I would also trust their judgment. But however, my hedging is with the 5 selected committee members from us, because, you know, at some point, legacy and history is going to put the change of the public safety system on this board. I mean, we're going to be the people that are written in the history books of that we've changed the system or we messed it up or whatever we did. And so with that responsibility going forward, I would just prefer that if my name's going to be attached to that, that the weight of this county commission is weighted also in the task force. Thank you, Chair.
And in that, you mean the 5-4 ratio?
Yes, sir.
As opposed to a 5-6 ratio?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'll ask a question about that when it's my turn in the queue. Commissioner Buck?
I did not understand what you last said, but I did want to just remind my colleagues that, you know, each person we put on a task force is an ambassador to our community to talk about what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish here. Yeah, I'm indifferent whether you want 9 or 11 people. That's not an issue, but the more we limit beyond that, the less ambassadors in the community that we have, the less community buy-in during the entire process we have, and I don't want that to backfire on us.
Thank you, Commissioner Buck. Further comments, Commissioner Seneca? Then I'll just, a couple of quick comments from me on this. I'm looking back at what what's in the budget is called the analysis section. F analysis is where the description of how this process would go forward. So it states that task force of county residents would include up to 11 community members, including those who may represent partner organizations, et cetera. And then that every member of the committee would be from the pool of applicants, which is a really limited time that the applicants have an opportunity to apply for it. November 30th is the deadline on that. I worry about that because we see the pools of applicants and we see very narrow pools of applicants, particularly this time of the year when everybody has so many other things that are right on the horizon.
My suggestion, Chair, would be, you know, we do, for a lot of our recruitments for positions that are difficult to recruit, we'll say, open until filled, first review date is on X date. So that probably is a good thing for us to do here, given the timeline. I think we're trying to find the balance between, as you all have said, continue maybe the momentum that is felt, and let's not like stall on that. Let's keep this moving forward, but let's also have a really thoughtful process, and let's not rush it if it takes a little bit more time. So we can certainly do that in the event. And my suggestion to you is not to worry too much about the process, because that'll be our job. You tell us how many people you want. And I think if it's 9 or 11, that's really up to you. I mean, like has been said, I don't think our group, we actually did talk about 9. That was kind of our debate was, well, should we have 9 and then 5 by commissioners and 4 or 11? And the group thought that, you know, they made the recommendation it made. I'm not sure exactly. Do you remember if there was a specific reason?
We talked a lot about the trouble to fill vacancies in some of the longer-term committees where people may drop off. So it really was around a quorum of the committee issue. But we did go back and forth between 9 and 11 for quite a while. So I think we were just looking at how do we give ourselves a little more space if someone has a life change or can't continue on the committee. But I don't think 9 versus 11 substantially changes the work of the committee.
And I just want to be, we're asking people to apply, and we're going to have a pool of applicants, and we're going to select from the pool of applicants. So it's really, the board's original request was to ask the administrator and the public safety team to bring forward some recommendations moving forward. And I think, the sheriff indicated this, it was the first or second meeting that we had that the group was like, we should not be the ones making the recommendations on long-term solutions. We should be asking the community for its, so I just want to keep that, yes, it matters who's appointing and everything, but at the end of the day, we're going to have 11, 9, or some number of residents that are going to come together and work through some really challenging, thorny issues and make some recommendations to the board. And then the board is charged with deciding what you want to move forward with. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a community-led effort, and how you want, the number of people and how you want those appointed is really up to you. But we're trying to strike that balance of representation, objectivity and diversity and expediency.
Then I'll continue for a moment. I think you may have eased my concern regarding the deadline for the pool of applicants. At the start of what you said just now, you said open until filled. With no exact deadline on the fill date.
We call it a rolling application, right? Where you say, we're going to review it. Maybe we start review it right before Thanksgiving, but we keep it open so that application is still coming in. If we only have 8 applications, we can start making those appointments, bringing it forward, but it allows others to.
Would that require a change in the verbiage? It says October through November 2023 task force recruitment.
No, because again, this is just this is not the timeline that we've established. It was called a reasonable timeline, but it's really just meant as an example.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe we need to, trying to think how we can adjust that, but our expectation really was just say, if you want an idea of roughly what this timeline could look like in the most compressed timeline, this is what it looks like.
Very good.
We're not wed to that. So if you tell us, please, this is your task force. That you're engaging. Why don't you tell us what you'd like to do there? If you'd like to have it open for a longer period of time, if you want the number changed to a certain number, that's what we want to hear.
Very good. Then I think you've eased my concerns regarding the timeline on the pool of applicants, because my concern is that somebody's been out of town. I didn't hear about it, and here's December 1st, and boy, I missed it by 4 hours. Okay, then we'll move forward. Then the question then that is kind of hanging out there is 9 or 11. Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I was going to make a motion, and I will just point out that the order itself says up to 11 members. It doesn't give a prescriptive, it must be 11, no more, no less. So in the interest, since there seems to be consensus that we'd like to keep this process moving, I'm prepared to make the motion, and then I think it was important to have the conversation and gave our administrator a sense of where some of our concerns are for follow-up and updates as this process moves forward, but that the order as written, I'm prepared to make a motion if the chair is ready.
I think we're ready for a motion. Go ahead.
Great. Then I move approval of order number 23-10-17-05 in the matter of establishing a limited duration task force to explore long-term public safety funding solutions.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Trieger and seconded first by Commissioner Lovell. Let's have some discussion to that motion. Discussion to the motion? There doesn't seem to be any discussion of the motion, Ms. Mokryski.
I just wanted to offer that I commit to keep you updated under announcements each week and outside of this that will, because it's also part of the problem. We want people to know that this application is happening and the work that the group is doing. So we will keep you updated. You're going to have a role, obviously, in the appointment process, and we'll keep you updated on where that's at, how applications are coming in, what appointments are looking like, when meetings are occurring, all of those things.
Excellent. And you have heard from the board that some members of this board prefer 4, some 6, but we'll leave it to your discretion as to how to move forward with that. And we'll have that discussion when the time comes. Commissioner Lovell?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I have just a quick question for Ms. Eskridge. Is there a way that we can use the public airwaves commercial system. I'm spacing the name of what was called the.
Ears.
What?
Ears, Eugene area radio
Well,
stations.
that too, but also on the TV radio stations, when I was in advertising, they used to have what they would call advertising that was free, that was for the community good. Can we, what was it called? The public. PSA, thank you. I was just brain gassing that. The public service announcements. Is there any way we can generate some at least knowledge in that, or can we rent a billboard for crying out loud? I mean, that's what I would do, but it's up to you.
So Chair Farr, Commissioner Lovall, unfortunately, PSAs are not free for Lane County. We do use them occasionally, and I have a good relationship with the coordinator for Eugene area radio stations. My recommendation is to work for earned media first, which means we see how much they'll cover it as a news item. And then I would like to give it a couple weeks, both working for earned media and advertising it on social media to see if we do need to then explore some paid options. There are times when the PSAs work really well, and this could be one of them. I've also found that investing in paid social media placement more and more reaches far greater numbers of our residents than more traditional advertising. The other option where we've had some success is also advertising on YouTube. So if I do see that we're not getting in a good number of applications, or it seems to be very slow, I will start exploring some paid placement for that.
Sweet. And if you got a couple of those extra signs, I could wear one of those down Main Street when I frequent that area. So if that would help, let me know.
I will certainly do that, Commissioner.
Thank you. Then I'm going to add this. The outreach on the pool of applicants is essential, that we do the best that we can to get the largest pool. Because, you know, if you go into the community, most people have no clue what happens inside this room, unless it affects the potholes in the street, for instance. But, you know, most people don't know the difference between a city councilor and a county commissioner. So how do we reach the people who, we get people interested in a public safety involvement if they don't even know who's making the decision? So it becomes really, it's a dicey situation reaching out to the right people who may have excellent ideas regarding how to move forward.
Yes, Chair, and I will say, and no disrespect to this body, typically when we advertise for committee positions, it's not advertised in a way that emphasizes where it fits within our decision-making process. I try to focus on what change it could bring in the community and what areas of the community it could affect, so that we can try to find those people who are most passionate about that project. Once the committee is seated, that is when we hit them with all of the information and the learning and the background. But really, we try to be very clear what type of decisions their input could affect, and that tends to be more successful when then we start with an education on civics first.
And that is a beautiful vehicle to use that particular approach, making certain that we reach as many people as possible, because most people, especially this time of the year, have many other things on their mind. And our announcements, whether it be through PSA or through whatever other means, it goes in the trash along with the request for support of nonprofits, shall we say. So, okay, that being said, we have a motion before us. And Ms. Mokrajewski, it's pretty clear from the discussion that we've had that we're looking to you to bring forward a good, responsive package that includes the involvement of the sheriff and the DA and other key public safety individuals as you move forward with the next steps. Do you have any questions for us before we pass this order, Mr.? Or before
I don't think, the only other thing I was thinking, and I don't know that now is the right time, but as we pull this group together, just be thinking about this. They're going to want to know what is the charge and what is the board, right? That's typically what these, so the more clarity that the board can provide around what you want them to do and what you're expecting for them to come back with, the more it's just really important for those groups that have, right, they come together, they have a short period of time, and the more focused they can be around what the expectation, what their charge is, that will really help. The thing that, I've heard pretty consistently from like the Charter Review Committee, because it really was a pretty compressed time frame, was the desire for more time, right? They just wished that they had, because there was a lot of time they spent on getting up to speed. So Devin talked about, and you see two of our key policy team folks here, Mr. Adams and Mr. Kyler, because they'll be, and others will be an important part of this process to help bring the task force up to speed on all the history, some of which we touched on, all the different moving parts locally and at the state level. And so my sense is it's probably going to take a little bit more time than we've laid out here, because this is not a small issue that we're trying to solve. But that is the thing that would be helpful to hear from the board maybe in the next month or two, that we'll come back to you. And as we look at seating folks onto the task force, if the board can really give a clear charge on what you'd like to hear back, or what the charge to that group is, I think that'll be helpful.
Thank you, Ms. Mokrowski. Then before we make the vote, Sheriff Harold, you're in the room. Is there anything you'd like to add before we consider this vote? Very good. And then just a remembrance of an old favorite of mine, W. Edwards Deming. He wrote Total Quality Management. People don't talk about it much anymore, but we do it. The best ideas come from the people doing the work. That's always been my premise, and it's always the best way that things move forward. So with that, I'll look for any further discussion, and seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you for the work, and thank you, Sheriff Harold and staff, for being here. Chief? Then we'll move down our agenda and continue with future board assignment requests. Are there any further board assignment requests? I am seeing none. Then before we move down the agenda, Mr. Mokrowski, I'll ask you for a review of assignments.
I don't have any new assignments for today.
Okay, and for this morning's session, we have no other business. The afternoon will be spent entirely in executive session unless we choose to come out to conduct regular business after the executive session. So at the sound of my gavel, we will be recess from the Board of County Commissioners, and we will reconvene as in executive session in the Board of Commissioners conference room at 1:30. The Board of Commissioners, excuse me, the Board of County Commissioners will meet in executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations and to consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. This executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602 D and H, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purposes listed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are precluded from attending. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. Members of the news media are not allowed to tape, video record, or otherwise record an executive session. Verbatim notes are prohibited. No decision shall be made in executive session. We reserve the right to come back into public session should the need arise. I'm listening for a voice in the sky before I pound the gavel.